What's going on?
Jason asks as he walks out of the men's locker room and onto the pool deck.
I saw cop cars outside.
Jason's a good kid, still in high school and wanting to be a doctor, although he isn't exactly the sharpest scalpel on the tray. But he's a solid lifeguard, and at over 6 feet and close to 200 pounds, he's handy to have when one of our larger swimmers gets themselves in trouble.
Adam? Hey?
Jason asks.
Boss, you in there? Huh?
I mutter, then turn and look at him and give him that smile that's gotten me through some really shitty times. It's also gotten me promoted twice, so that I'm now directing supervisor of aquatic safety here at the rec center.
Oh, hey Jason.
I'm in charge of the community pool and the lifeguards, basically, and the youngest to ever hold the position. Good things come to those who know how to work the system, I guess. And I know how to work the system. It just happens to be a system that others may not be aware of.
What's up with the cops?
Jason asks, watching as a swarm of boys and girls in blue walk around the Olympic-sized swimming pool the rec center boasts about in every advertisement and social media post.
Come use the only Olympic-sized swimming pool in the Tri-County area.
The posts always read,
Heated and covered for year-round enjoyment. Mrs. Borland went missing yesterday, and the last place her phone pinged was here,
I say, watching the cops line the pool as they stare down into the darker waters of the deep end.
Hey, can we get the lights turned on?
A cop shouts my way.
Bulbs are out.
I shout back, my voice echoing in the cavernous space of the pool complex.
New ones won't be here until next month. Budget cuts. That's an understatement,
Jason says.
We need a new John Travolta, or we can't train the rookies in CPR.
John Travolta is our CPR dummy. He's named that because you do chest compressions to the rhythm of Staying Alive, which is some oldie song from the disco era. Just keep that disco beat going, and you too can save a life. Or something like that.
The washing machine is broken too,
I say.
I had to take all the towels home last night. I was up until 2 in the morning getting them washed and dried. You could have brought them here to dry,
Jason says.
Unless the dryer's broken too. You have any idea how heavy 150 wet towels are?
I ask as one of the cops approaches us.
Adam, right?
The cop asks.
I'm Sergeant Edwards. Can I ask you a couple of questions? Sure,
I say. Sergeant Edwards glances at Jason.
Alone?
He adds.
I'll go fold all the towels,
Jason says, and then disappears into the men's locker room.
Did you know Mrs. Borland?
Sergeant Edwards asks.
I guess,
I reply and shrug.
She'd come here with her kids probably 3 or 4 times a week. 3 or 4 times?
The sergeant responds, obviously surprised.
She used to be a swimmer,
I say and shrug again.
Some people can't let go of stuff like that, so they heap it on their kids. So she was training the kids to swim? Not really, no. I'm confused. She would mostly yell at the kids and tell them they were doing it wrong,
I say, and my eyes stray to the deep end. The sergeant follows my gaze, then looks back at me and cocks his head.
You see something? What?
I say, then shake my head.
No. Just that the water warps the view. So those cops using skimmers are gonna miss anything on the bottom. You need divers. They're on their way,
Sergeant Edwards says.
So, Mrs. Borland, she'd like to yell at her kids? It was all an act,
I say.
She'd yell at her kids and say they were doing the backstroke wrong or that they weren't timing their breathing right. An act? Yeah, then she'd finally shout that she'd show them how it's done. That's when the show started. Show? Yeah. She'd strip off her shirt and pants and have a very tight bikini on underneath, even though we ask adults to wear one-piece bathing suits. Then she'd dive in and swim for like 30 minutes, not once talking to her kids. Oh, I see,
Sergeant Edwards says and nods.
She was showing her Pilates body off to make the other moms jealous.
Edwards laughs and rolls his eyes.
I get it. Seen it 100 times. Not like Mrs. Borland, you haven't,
I say, and try not to swallow hard, even though I have a lump in my throat. My eyes go to the deep end once more,
She had that bikini weaponized. It wasn't the other moms she was going after. It was the dads. And she had most of them completely hooked. The dads,
Edwards says and nods. He takes out his phone and flips through it. Then he turns it around and shows me a picture.
You ever see this guy?
The lump in my throat grows, but I swallow past it and say,
Mr. Call Me Nick Remo. Mr. Call Me Nick Remo? What does that mean?
Edwards asks as he put his phone away.
Let's just say that Mr. Remo has introduced himself to every lifeguard on my staff.
I say.
If they have big tits and a tight young ass, that is.
Sergeant Edwards blinks at me a few times.
He was harassing the female guards? Overly friendly is more like it. Never any touching. Always kept a respectable distance. But he made sure to introduce himself to any new lifeguard who met his standards. And while his hands stayed in place, his eyes covered every inch of every girl here. And he wasn't checking them out to see if they qualified for the job, if you get what I mean. Yeah, you've made it clear what you mean,
he says.
Okay, good to know.
Sergeant Edwards turns and watches his people continue to investigate the pool area, even though they've gone over it a dozen times so far. Then he points up to the corner of the insanely tall ceiling.
I'll need to see that footage,
he says, indicating the security camera. Then he points at the rest that surround the pool.
All the feeds. Broken,
I say and shrug.
Waiting on new ones. They're all broken?
He frowns.
I find that hard to believe. Ask Mr. Keys. He can tell you why. Something to do with the proprietary system that the mayor's cousin owns. Ah, shit,
Edward says and laughs. It's not a happy laugh.
That asshole got this contract too? Never mind. Even if they did work, we'd probably only see footage of Sesame Street, or some weird shit the signals pick up, instead of actually recording what they should record. That's pretty much it,
I say.
You guys got the same shit in your cop shop? Yup,
Edwards says, then his frown deepens.
And don't call it a cop shop. Sorry,
I sigh, and scratch at the stubble on my cheek.
That it? Excuse me? Are those all the questions? You got somewhere else to be? Paperwork. And with the flu going around, I have half my staff out sick. I'll be handling the afternoon shift myself. Not today, you won't,
Edward says and watches me closely.
Pool's closed until we finish logging everything. So this really is a crime scene? We're not sure yet,
he says.
But it might be, since according to her phone, this was her last known location. Oh, okay,
I say and start to turn.
I didn't answer your question,
he says and grabs my arm.
No, we're not done here. Where were you last night between 1 and 2 in the morning? At home, washing towels,
I say.
The towels Jason is folding right now. Washer is broken. Budget cuts.
Edwards interrupts before I can finish.
Did anyone see you? In my laundry room at 1 in the morning? My cat saw me. No one else was there? Nope. Good to know. Is it?
I say and grunt. Sometimes my mouth moves faster than my brain.
Is there a problem, Adam?
Edwards asks, watching my face like my cat watches birds out the front window.
Nope. Just sounds like you were fishing for my alibi. And since I don't have one, other than your cat.
I pause and then smile.
Right. Other than my cat. Do you think you need an alibi? Nope. Then we're good here.
My eyes go to the deep end again, and I force myself not to shiver at the shadow that floats a few feet beneath the water. Edwards turns and looks, then turns back to me.
Call or text if you think of anything,
he says after watching me carefully. Then he hands me his card.
Enjoy that paperwork. Yeah, thanks,
I say as I back up, then walk into the men's locker room. It's nearly 8 at night by the time the cops leave. The divers came out in the afternoon and found nothing. I think they were hoping to find Mrs. Borland's phone in the deep end drain or something. They didn't.
Hey, boss. I don't want to ditch you, but I really got to get home and do my homework,
Jason says as I walk around the pool deck, picking up trash and crap the cops left behind.
My dad's been texting me, saying that 4 hours of overtime is enough for one night. What? Oh shit, Jason. Sorry.
I say as I wad up an empty snack-sized chip bag and stuff it into a Starbucks coffee cup.
Yeah, go. Thanks, boss,
He says and rushes off, his bag already over his shoulder.
See you tomorrow? No. They won't let me open the pool until Friday.
I say.
I'll let everyone know when shifts start up again. Cool. See ya.
I watch him leave through the men's locker room. Then I go back to picking up the trash and bits of scrap paper and the crime scene tape, even though it technically never became a crime scene. A splash makes me whirl around, but there's nothing there. No ripples in the water, nothing. Except, that's not really true. The shadow in the deep end floats below the surface.
Soon,
I whisper. The shadow doesn't move. It never moves. It just floats there, watching me. How the cops missed it, I don't know. Maybe they aren't used to how water plays tricks with your eyes. Light and perspective get all out of whack. But I know how to see it. Cuphead, my cat, is waiting at the side door when I pull up into my carport.
what are you doing outside so late, Cuppy? I thought I brought you in this morning.
I say to the orange ball of fur. He meows and pats the door with one paw.
Okay. You're probably starving.
I go to unlock the door and realize it's not locked. Slowly, I turn the knob and push the door open, my eyes narrowed, my ears tuned for the slightest sound. Cuphead slinks past me and bolts for his food bowl. He begins scarfing down his dry food as I step inside, close the door behind me, and set my gym bag on top of the washing machine. Then I smell the perfume and I hear the soft music coming from somewhere in my house. Following my nose and my ears, I ditch my keys and wallet on the side table in the kitchen, then walk slowly through the living room and toward the back of the house. While the rest of the house is completely dark, a weak light filters out of the crack between my bedroom and the jamb. I reach out and push it open, not surprised to see who I see lying across the bed, completely naked.
Took you long enough?
Mandy Borland says as she stretches her arms out, making sure I notice every inch of her.
The cops were there all day. The cops? Already?
She asks, but doesn't sit up or look surprised.
My husband actually showed some initiative for a change. Let's not talk about him.
I say as I strip out of my uniform and walk to the bed.
Let's talk later. Or not talk at all,
Mandy says, holding her arms out to me. I fall into those arms, and the late night turns to early morning before we are finished with each other. As we lay in my bed, the sheets tossed to the floor, the pillows stacked about, her upper body resting on my chest as her head nuzzles into my throat, I say,
Nick Remo.
Those two words, that name, make her stiffen for half a second. I probably wouldn't have noticed from across the room, but with her skin on my skin, it's easy to feel the change.
Nick, what about him?
Mandy asks, and the fears I've had in my gut begin to surface, like the shadow in the deep end of the pool.
Some sergeant was asking about him,
I say, keeping my voice calm and nonchalant. Mandy pushes up and looks me in the eye. She's doing that thing she does when she fakes innocence, but is really on the hunt.
Why would they ask about Nick?
Mandy asks, her brow furrowing. She's good. The fears in my gut climb higher and higher.
I don't know,
I say and shrug.
The sergeant was just asking about him is all. Weird,
she says, and settles back down on my chest, making sure to press her own chest against me. Her hand slides down my belly and between my legs.
Let's not talk about him. He's a perv who ogles girls. Were you at the pool the other night?
I ask.
Your phone pinged there. That's weird too,
she says.
You know I wasn't. I was in my motel room out on Route 35, remember? That's where I called you from. Yeah, of course,
I say and let her do her thing. It's always best to let Mandy do her thing. Later, as she sleeps like the dead, which is the only way Mandy sleeps. I sneak out from under her, grab my clothes, and quietly get dressed in the hall. Then I find her phone in her purse. Luckily, it's turned off. The last thing I need is a knock on the door from Sergeant Suspicious. With my keys in my hand, I slip out the side door and get in my car. I drive away with the lights off until I'm a block down the street. Then I speed up and race out of town, pulling over to the side of the road just a quarter mile from the Stardust Motel. I'd sneaked a peek at Mandy's key code a week ago, so getting into her phone isn't a problem. It also isn't a problem to find her last text to Nick Remo. It's the top thread in her messages. I read the thread, and that fear that had been slowly rising is quickly squashed by a wave of rage so powerful that my knuckles pop and crack as I grip Mandy's phone. Her texts with Nick started a good 6 months before me and Mandy just happened to bump into each other at a tavern a couple of miles out of town. It's a place I like to go when I need an anonymous encounter. You can't even call it a dive bar. That would be too kind. Hookers, junkies, and complete losers hang out there. Perfect when I need a woman who doesn't ask questions and doesn't have questions asked about her. Taking several deep breaths, I read the last text from Nick.
When are you ditching that pool boy?
He asks.
I have a bag packed, and my friend can fly us to Jamaica at a moment's notice. Be patient, my love,
was Mandy's response.
2 or 3 days tops. I need to make sure eyes are on Adam and not on us. He can take the heat when we both disappear.
I type.
Are you awake?
It takes about 2 minutes before the dots begin to ripple on the screen.
Yeah, babe. You okay? That little shit isn't making you do things you don't want to, is he?
Nick responds.
No one makes me do things I don't want to.
I respond. The haha icon pops up on the corner of the text, which is followed by,
Don't I know it? Can we meet?
I text.
Tonight? Yes. What about the pool boy? He's asleep. I wore him out. I don't know whether to be jealous or turned on.
There's a second or two pause then.
Yeah, where? You know where. The pool? Can you be there in 20? Yeah, but it'll be more like 30. Come to the back door. It'll be open.
I turn off the phone before he responds. Then I gun the car, making a U-turn across the road, so I'm heading back into town. Parking my car a few blocks away, I cut through backyards until I reach the rec center property. I'm a few minutes early, which is perfect. Using Jason's PIN code, I let myself into the back storage room and then quietly make my way to the men's locker room. I glance out into the pool area, but don't see a silhouette by the back door that leads out to the large patio where rusting grills and splintered picnic tables sit. Budget cuts. I hurry to the door, open it, and jam a rock between it and the frame. Then I slink back into the shadows of the bleachers and wait. He's late. 45 minutes from when I stopped texting, Nick Remo approaches the door, pauses, looks down at the rock, then eases the door open.
Mandy,
he whispers. I say nothing and only watch him from the shadows.
Mandy?
He whispers louder as he comes inside. The door closes behind him because he doesn't slip the rock back into its place.
In the men's locker room.
I text him after turning Mandy's phone back on, making sure the volume is muted. His phone chimes and he pulls it from his pocket. Even in the darkness, I can see the lecherous grin on his face. He hurries to the locker room. That's when I leave the shadows and slip behind him. I don't know if my foot scuffs or he just senses something, but we aren't even to the locker room entrance when he whirls around, his phone up, the flashlight blinding me.
The fucking pool boy,
he says with a snarl, and he comes for me. It's a mistake on his part. He's in my house now. Even blinded by the light, I know every inch of this pool deck. I duck to the side and he goes to match me, but I do a stutter step, and instead of retreating, I rush forward, spin, and give him a hard shove. Nick cries out, and his phone slips from his grasp as his arms wheel around and around for balance. He loses that game and falls backward into the pool.
You little fuck!
he yells as he comes up spluttering and spitting.
I'm going to fuck you up when I get out of here! No, you aren't,
I say, and my eyes go to the deep end. His head spins around, and he looks at the deep end, then whips his head back and looks at me.
What the fuck are you staring at? Nothing to worry about. It'll be over soon.
He laughs as he treads water.
Do you think she loves you?
He laughs harder.
You're a tool, kid. A gullible 20-something who served his purpose and now needs to get the fucking hint and go away.
My eyes start to the deep end once more.
What the fuck are you looking at?
He snaps.
Doesn't matter. What do I care what a little piece of shit pool boy is looking at? Mandy and I, we're getting the fuck out of this loser town. Together. Leaving your sorry ass behind. Then why is she at my house and naked in my bed?
I ask, my voice calm as can be.
What part of Tool do you not understand, pool boy?
He asks and laughs. Then he starts to paddle toward the edge of the pool.
You know what? Fuck it. This wasn't going to happen for a few more days, but might as well get it over with tonight. I think so too.
When he gets to the short ladder on the side of the pool, he reaches up and grips the first rung with one hand, then brings the other up so I can see what he's holding. A very sharp-looking knife.
Is that supposed to scare me?
I ask and step toward him.
It better, pool boy.
He laughs.
Because this is how you fucking die. Or how you commit suicide, that is. All torn up over what you did to Mandy. What does that mean?
I ask, knowing already.
You'll write a note talking about your obsession with her. You'll also talk about how you suspect she and I are together, and how you have taken care of us. We'll let the police work the details out on their own, while Mandy and I are in Jamaica. Everyone will think we're dead and you take the fall. It's perfect.
I take a deep breath and let it out. Then I kick him in the face. Hard. He cries out and falls back into the pool. The water at the deep end churns, but I don't look that way. I don't have to. Nick comes up spluttering for the second time tonight, and he waves the hand with the knife around over his head while he treads water with his other hand.
You're so fucking dead. Someday,
I say and turn and walk away.
Where the fuck are you going, pool boy?
He shouts. I hear him splashing about, then he yells,
What the fuck was that?
I smile as I walk into the men's locker room. His screams don't start until I'm almost to my office. By the time I sit down at my desk, the screams have stopped. There's a mound of paperwork on my desk. Actual paperwork, because Mr. Keys either doesn't know how to use a computer or has stock in some paper company. I'm leaning toward the former, considering he's a moron. Once I finish the paperwork, it's time to go back to the pool. When I get there, the water is calm. There's a slight red tinge in some spots, but the filtration system and the insane amount of chlorine we use will take care of that by morning. What it can't take care of is the item at the bottom of the pool, Nick's phone. For some reason, electronics are always left behind. I don't know why, and I never ask. Stripping my clothes off, I dive naked into the pool and swim down to the bottom. I wait a moment and look toward the deep end, but I can't see anything. So I dive down further, snag Nick's phone, and swim back to the surface. Once I'm dried off and dressed, I study the phone for a second, wipe it off with my shirt, and then let it fall to the deck. It doesn't crack, but I don't need it to. I give the phone a hard kick, and it's instantly lost under the bleachers. By the time I get home, the horizon is getting light. I maybe have a couple of hours before I need to get ready for work.
Where have you been?
Mandy asks, startling me as I walk into the kitchen. She's wearing one of my t-shirts, and that's all. It's a short t-shirt, so it leaves zero to my imagination.
Alarm went off at the rec center. I'm first on the security company's call list. Mr. Keys doesn't check alarm calls.
She studies me carefully, then smiles and crosses the kitchen.
My little hard worker,
she says, and her hands are all over me. We kiss, we play, but I stop her before it goes too much further.
I need to shower and get ready for work,
I say and slide her hands from my body. The mind is strong, but the flesh is weak.
Already?
she says in that whiny voice she thinks is sexy.
Early shift, and the cops will probably be back.
I say as I leave her in the kitchen and make my way to the bathroom where I strip down and turn on the hot water to full blast. I'm stepping into the shower when she leans herself against the bathroom door.
Why would the cops come back already? I thought they didn't find anything. I don't know,
I say, scrambling for an answer.
Don't cops come back to crime scenes? I don't know what cops do. Me neither,
I reply and dunk my head under the scalding stream.
I'll be right out. Can you make coffee? Me? Yeah. Don't you know how to make coffee? Don't be an ass,
she says and leaves. In a couple of minutes, the scent of dark coffee is sucked into the bathroom by the ceiling vent. I get out, towel off, wrap the towel around my waist, and head to the kitchen. Mandy is at the kitchen counter, frantically rummaging through her purse.
Did you take my phone? Do you mean, have I seen your phone? Why would I take it? Whatever. Do you know where it is?
She snaps.
I have it,
I say.
Just in case. Just in case of what?
She says, and I can feel the anger waving off of her from across the kitchen. Then she pulls herself together and gives me her sexiest smile.
Sorry, love. I haven't had my coffee yet. I'll pour us each a cup,
I say, and move around her to the mug rack on the counter. 2 sugars in hers, black for me. I pour the coffee and hold out a mug to her. She reaches for it, but I snatch it back.
No coffee for you,
I say, then look down at my towel.
Not for free, at least.
She laughs that laugh of hers, and her hands go to my towel. As it falls to the floor, I wonder if she laughed that way for Nick. I was right. The cops came back.
Adam, right?
Sergeant Edwards says as he knocks on my office door.
Got a second? Sure,
I say and turn away from the never-ending stacks of paperwork.
What's up? Were you here last night?
He asks, sounding as casual as if he asked me what color is the grass out on the soccer fields.
I left after 8 or so. And you didn't come back later? Nope,
I say and shake my head.
Why? One of the homeowners thought they saw someone in here early in the morning. They were up late, walking their dog in the soccer fields. The old guy has insomnia. He said he saw me? No. He says he saw someone and it looked like a man. I thought maybe you got a security call.
Since that was the excuse I used for Mandy, I almost doubled down. But before I open my mouth, I realize he can easily confirm that with the security company.
Nope,
I say and shake my head.
I was home all night. Washing towels?
He asks and laughs.
Not last night, thank God,
I say and laugh with him.
No, I was sleeping off a few late-night beers.
Then I slide open a desk drawer and pull out a bottle of ibuprofen, shaking 3 pills into my hand.
Want some?
I ask, holding out the bottle.
I'm good.
I dry swallow the pills and smile at him.
Me and my guys are going to do another sweep of the pool, then head out to the soccer fields,
he says and steps away from my door.
I may have some more questions. You going to be around? All day and most of the night,
I say and shrug.
Short-staffed, flu, and budget cuts.
He interrupts and taps his knuckles on the door jamb.
I'll talk to you later. Sounds good,
I say, and wait a few minutes for his footfalls to completely die away before I touch the outline of Mandy's phone in my uniform pocket. To my surprise and slight disappointment, Edwards never comes back to talk to me. I've been waiting for him to come hurrying into my office the second Nick's phone was discovered. But the cops searching the place obviously suck at their jobs, so I have to give them a hand. By the late afternoon, I pretend to do maintenance to the filtering system. When I come out of the mechanical room, which is right next to the bleachers, I pause and scrunch up my face.
Hey, what's that?
I ask and point under the bleachers. A couple of cops pause their conversation and turn their heads in my direction. They see where I'm pointing and frown.
I'll get it,
I say and take a step toward the bleachers.
No, stay there,
one of the cops orders. He slips on a pair of blue plastic gloves, then circles around the bleachers, crouches down, sees the phone, and drops to his belly. It takes him a few minutes to retrieve Nick's phone. The adrenaline in my system keeps me from laughing at the sight of his bulk, almost getting stuck under there. When he comes back out, my face is nothing but innocence and wide eyes.
Whose is it?
I ask, seeing the phone in his hand when he stands up.
No clue. Well, I can put it in the lost and found,
I say and hold my hand out.
I'll take that,
Sergeant Edwards says, coming up from behind me. He pats me on the shoulder and holds out a gloved hand to the other cop.
Give it here, Tully.
The cop shrugs and hands it to Edwards. Edwards looks at the phone and the screen lights up.
Interesting,
Edwards says.
Who is it?
I ask, my hand out again.
I have all the members' contact information in our directory, so I can email them to let them know their phone is here. You recognize him?
Edwards asks and shows me the phone, ignoring my outstretched hand. I could lie, but what would be the point?
Yes, that looks like Mr. Remo,
I say and let my hand fall to my side.
He must have dropped his phone the last time he was here. Did he come by yesterday to look for it? I didn't see him yesterday,
I say and shrug.
But we were closed yesterday, remember? He could have come by, saw that the doors were locked, and decided he'd come back. He didn't call and leave a message? Without his phone? He could have used his wife's phone. Yeah, I guess so. I don't really know, Sergeant. I'm sorry. I was here all day and he never called. Huh. Weird we didn't find this yesterday,
Edwards says, then shakes his head and gives me a fake smile.
Sometimes the mysteries come in waves. Mrs. Borland is missing, and now Mr. Remo. Mr. Call me Nick Remo,
I say and smile. Edwards' fake smile fades.
Sorry, that was supposed to be a joke. Too bad you don't have any video footage,
Edwards says.
I'd love to see if those two interacted at all. It's a little too much of a coincidence that they disappeared the same couple of days. You don't think he did anything to her, do you?
I ask, my eyes wide with shock and horror. Edwards studies me for a long second, and I start to think I overplayed my hand. Then he shakes his head and says,
Nah, no. If anything, the two were having an affair and they just ran off together. An affair? That's sad,
I say.
Her poor kids. Hopefully, her husband will still bring them to the pool. Even with their mother's antics, they do love it here. It's always hardest on the kids,
Edwards says.
Will you be around today? All day and into the night. You're pretty dedicated to this pool, aren't you? It's become my life,
I say.
I wish I could do more for the place. It needs all kinds of renovations. Maybe one day, if I'm running the rec center, I can make sure the pool gets all the attention it deserves.
Then I shrug, and before I can continue, Edwards says,
But budget cuts. Got it.
He leaves with his men and walks outside, headed for the soccer fields. I watch him go, then I move close to the edge of the pool. The shadow swirls in the deep end, and I know it's restless.
Yes, I know,
I say.
Soon.
An icy pain grips me in my midsection and I gasp.
Okay,
I say.
Tonight.
The pain goes away and I sigh. It's not a bad pain, never a bad pain, just a reminder of my duty. Edwards doesn't come see me before he leaves, which is refreshing. I'm starting to worry that he's locked onto me. I chuckle as I lock up. When I get home, Mandy is standing in the kitchen waiting for me.
You're gonna be seen,
I snap as I shut off the light and hurry to close the kitchen drapes.
What? You want me to live like some mole person?
She asks, and I can hear the alcohol in her voice.
How much have you had to drink?
I ask, and open the trash can's lid.
2 bottles of wine? Maybe,
she says, and wiggles her hips a little bit.
I was bored. Cops came by again today,
I say, and move in close to her. She moves in close to me and I see the lust in her eyes. Or it could be the wine. Hard to tell with Mandy. She's wearing tight sweatpants and a tank top. I run my hands up under the tank top and she moans. Then I lean in and kiss her neck, my body pressing into hers.
Nick Remo,
I whisper. Mandy's body goes completely still.
What about Nick?
She asks and pulls back from me. I don't let her. I wrap my arms around her waist and squeeze her tight, pressing my body to hers, backing her up until her ass hits the fridge.
That sergeant in charge has a theory,
I say, and Mandy tries to squirm free from me.
I think you have been a naughty girl.
My hand goes between her legs, and she stiffens, then she relaxes, and her hand matches mine.
I have.
She moans.
I have been so naughty. Of course you have.
I say, and slide her sweats down her legs.
What are you going to do about it?
She asks, gasping as my hand goes to work.
Punish you,
I say, and then I lift her up and carry her from the kitchen and into my bedroom. Covered in sweat and possibly a couple of bruises, we lay on my bed, intertwined as the clock on my phone hits 2 a.m.
Nick has to go,
I say. Mandy's hand rubs up and down my inner thigh.
He's nothing, baby,
she says.
Don't you worry about him. Does he know where you are? No. Does he know about us? Oh, God, no. He's just a toy, baby. A plaything. Am I just a toy? A plaything?
I ask.
A tool? A tool?
She asks, then pushes up onto her elbows.
You're really jealous, aren't you? I don't usually go for that kind of thing, but this is a little hot. Nick has to go.
She studies my face in the dim light. Then a smile spreads across her face.
I suppose he does,
she says. We'll figure something out.
I already have,
I say and get up.
Where are you going?
She asks, rolling onto her back and staring at me. I almost don't grab my clothes and put them on. She's good. She's really good.
Get dressed. What? Now?
She asks and sits up.
Why? Because you're going to text Nick and tell him to meet you at the pool.
I say.
I am? You are. Why? You know why. Because Nick has to go? Because Nick has to go.
She watches me for a moment, then holds out her arms. I don't hesitate. I go to her and she hugs me fiercely.
I love you, bull boy,
she whispers in my ear, her tongue following right after her words.
And you know I love you.
Then before she can distract me, I lift her off the bed and set her on her feet.
Oh, bummer,
she says.
You're serious. I'm serious.
She kisses me, then nods and walks out of the bedroom.
I'll text him now. No, you'll wait,
I say.
Or your phone will ping here. Then I'll get dressed,
she says, coming back into the bedroom. She's breathing heavy, and I know that look in her eye.
Unless we get dressed in a few minutes. Nice try,
I say, and it is. She's quite spectacular. I'll miss her. Mandy shows me the text she sent to Nick as we leave my car behind and walk to the rec center, staying to the deep shadows of the large oaks that line the street.
We have to meet. Be at the pool in 30 minutes. You'll be 15 minutes late,
she says.
He always is. Is he?
I ask.
Oh, don't get too jealous,
Mandy says.
It's only so much of a turn on.
I smile and nod, then glance at her phone again. Good thing I deleted last night's text thread. We get to the pool, and I use Jason's code again. He'll catch some heat. I might even have to fire him. But the cops will just think that Mandy or Nick stole his key code number so they could meet at the pool when they slipped away from their families.
What's the plan?
Mandy asks me, and I hear excitement in her voice. She's loving this. All of the attention is on her. 2 men fighting for her love. It's her wet dream.
You go stand by the edge of the pool,
I say, and lead her out onto the pool deck.
Right there. Where?
She asks, looking at the pool.
Right by the deep end ladder,
I say.
There.
I point, and she follows my finger. Then she pauses, and I watch as she cocks her head.
Something wrong? No,
she says, then shakes her head and laughs.
I thought I saw something move in the water, but that's crazy. The craziest,
I reply, and go to the back door. Cracking it open, I find the rock from last night and prop open the door.
Oh, good idea,
she says.
He sees that, comes in, sees me, walks over to me, and then you... What? What are you going to do? Tackle him into the pool,
I say.
He's a shitty swimmer. I've watched him. I'll hold him under, and in a couple of minutes, he'll have accidentally drowned. But why would he even be here in the first place?
She asks, and I see her confidence in me start to slip. Took her long enough.
Because you texted him,
I say.
The cops will see that on his phone. Well, shit, Adam. We can't have that,
she exclaims.
We'll need to get his phone and erase that text. Too late,
I say and walk slowly toward her.
The cops already have it. The cops already have what? The cops already have his phone,
I say and move closer.
They do? Why would they have?
I can tell by the way her words trail off that she's getting it now.
Last night,
she whispers as I take another step toward her.
There wasn't any alarm, was there? No,
I say, only a few steps from her.
Stop right there!
She shouts and holds out her hands.
Don't you come any closer, Adam! What's wrong?
I ask, but I do what she says and stop where I am.
Did you kill him? No,
I say, being honest.
But I helped. Helped? What the fuck does that mean?
The water behind her ripples, and then the surface breaks as the shadow begins to rise. I can't help it. My eyes go past Mandy's face to stare at what lifts up out of the pool. There she is. She's so beautiful. Her darkness is like a caress on my soul. The energy that comes from her fills me up. It tells me I will be here forever. This pool is my pool as much as it is hers.
What the fuck?
Mandy mumbles as she follows my gaze and looks back over her shoulder. The shadow rises and rises until she is in her full glory, 10 feet tall, made of smoke and desire. She wavers before us, her shape and being showing me just how hungry she is. Mandy gives a frightened squeak and backs into me, her eyes never leaving the shadow.
What is it? A spirit, an angel,
I say and grip Mandy by the upper arms.
A gift. Adam? What is going on?
Mandy asks and tries to get free of my grasp, but I hold tight, digging my fingers into her flesh.
I know about you and Nick. Yeah, because we talked about it,
Mandy replies.
I thought you were into it. No, I mean I know how you were going to kill me and make it look like a suicide,
I say.
You were going to frame me for your disappearances. The cops would look for your bodies, but this county is huge, and so is the next county and the next one. It was a perfect getaway. No, I would never do that to you,
she says and tries to turn in my arms so she can give me her hurt little sex kitten eyes. That's not happening.
Bullshit,
I say and walk us both closer to the pool.
Stop, Adam,
she says, and her struggles get more frantic. I headbutt her in the back of her head. It hurts like hell, but it does the job. She grunts and relaxes a little. We move even closer to the pool.
I love you,
she moans, and it's not the good kind of moan like earlier in the night.
I do, Adam. Don't you love me? You said you did. I do love you. Then stop, please,
she begs as we get even closer.
No, I don't think so,
I say when we reach the edge.
If you love me, you won't do this,
she says and starts to cry. All of the strength has left her. I'm basically holding her upright.
Please, Adam, not like this. Don't get me to that thing. But she requires a sacrifice. You gave it, Nick! No, that was a meal,
I say.
I didn't give a shit about Nick.
I grip her harder.
And to make a real sacrifice, you have to be willing to give away something you love. Adam, no!
She screams as I throw her into the pool. She doesn't even have time to come up and sputter and panic and splash about. The shadow descends on her and wraps itself around Mandy's body. I watch, a little sad. I did love Mandy at one time. That was before I got to know her, of course. And before I realized she and Nick were a thing. Not that it mattered much. I'd already planned what I needed to do with Mandy well before I heard of their little plot against me. Being directing supervisor of aquatic safety has never been my long-term plan. No, I have to run this place entirely, sooner rather than later. For her, for my shadow. My eyes lock onto the sacrifice in the water. Mandy is slowly consumed within the shadow, leaving nothing behind except for her phone. Once it's all over, I strip down, dive in, and fetch her phone. Then I go to the door, dripping and naked, and open it wide, chucking the phone as hard as I can. It sails through the night air and lands out on the soccer field. Maybe the old guy with insomnia will find it later when he goes out to walk his dog. When I return to put my clothes on, the shadow is back in the deep end, resting just below the surface of the water.
I want more than just a promotion,
I say.
I want this place to thrive. I'm sick of budget cuts.
There's no response. There never is. But I know she has heard me. Dressed and refreshed from the night's activities, I leave the rec center and make my way back home. I may call in sick tomorrow. Make Mr. Keys actually work for a change.
Hey there,
Edward says as he knocks on my office door jamb and sticks his head in.
Congratulations.
I look up from my computer and smile.
Sergeant, good to see you.
I say and start to stand up. He waves me back down.
Sit. I'm not here to bother you. Oh, what brings you around? Like I said, congratulations,
He replies.
Word just got out that Mr. Borland has donated a considerable amount to the rec center, especially to the upkeep of the pool. Yeah, it's a really big trust, I say. We'll finally get to put in new security cameras and fix the showers that don't work in the locker rooms. And get new washing machines,
He adds.
That too,
I say and smile.
It's tragic why it's happening, but I'm glad I no longer have to suffer through more budget cuts. I hear the pool will be named the Amanda Borland Memorial Pool,
He says and laughs a little.
What's so funny? Oh, it's just weird that we never found her body. Or Nick Remo's. Yet, 6 months later, Mr. Borland is giving up on looking for her and now is donating a lot of cash to the rec center. That's funny? Why? You don't think it's a little soon? I think he wants to give his kids closure, and since they love the pool, it's a nice way for them to remember their mom each time they come to swim.
He nods a little.
Could be.
Then he snaps his fingers.
Oh, and congrats on the new position, too. A huge influx of cash, and Mr. Keys retires? You are one lucky pool boy.
I stiffen and then relax into my seat. I can't show that I know what Nick and Mandy called me in that text thread, even though I wrote Mandy's side of that thread.
I prefer acting managing director over pool boy,
I say with a laugh.
I bet you do,
He says and nods some more.
Well, again, congrats. Kinda young to be managing director. Aren't you worried you'll miss out on all the fun stuff you get to do in your 20s? Nope,
I say and shrug.
We all have to make sacrifices to get ahead, right? I suppose so,
He says after studying me for a bit. Then he taps on the door jamb and gives me a wave.
Well, congrats and good luck. Thanks,
I say as he leaves. Then I get back to my work. Computer work. No more stacks of papers now that I'm in charge. Good things come to those who know how to work the system, I guess. Or to those who know how to make the right sacrifices. Thanks for listening. If you enjoy these stories, be sure to subscribe to the podcast and check out some more of my episodes here.